that revolution in 1793 to 1794, decided to embark on terrorist activities in order to bring order or to end the revolution. So terrorism, as we know, it began as a statecraft, began as a mechanism which then was seen as a moral mechanism, a justified moral mechanism for the fight against terrorism. And therefore that has put terrorism under some very conflicting ideas, which today, we see it as a bad thing. Then it was regarded as a necessity that was needed to bring order. But if we want to look at the role that the international community has played, it has mainly been to bring countries together. It has mainly been to promote international cooperation, to make sure that we have a common standard, a common framework that all countries are acting together. A key future here has been to prevent safe havens, to make sure that all countries have the same laws, probably the same penalties, so that terrorists cannot find safe havens in any part of the world. And by adopting this 19th instrument, the international community has set out some key standards that every country should follow. Let's just briefly look at what these instruments are and West African participation in those instruments. As I said that there are 19 of them, I will just quickly give their names. I will not go into any detail what these instruments are about, but I will provide a summary of the kind of offenses that have been adopted at the international level. And then we will look at the Ecowas member state participation. So the instruments are the 1963 Convention on Offenses and certain other acts committed on board aircraft. Then we also have the 1970 Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Seizure of Aircraft, which was adopted in The Hague. The 1971 Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Civil Aviation. The 1988 Protocol for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts of Violence at Airports, Serving International Civil Aviation, supplementary to the Montreal Convention. The 1973 Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of Crimes Against Internationally Protected Persons, including diplomatic agents. The 1970 International Convention Against the Taking of Hostages. The 1979 Convention on the Physical Protection of Nuclear Materials. The 1988 Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation. The 1988 Protocol for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Fixed Platforms located on the continental shelf. The 1991 Convention on the Making of Plastic Explosives. I can't really go into details to name all of them. I've just given you 11. But if you want to look at the way the UN operates, the UN system operates in a hierarchical order in which the United Nations sees itself as being the primary actor against the fight against terrorism. The UN actions on this are carried out by two principal bodies, the Security Council and the General Assembly. And of course, the Secretary General has also played an important role in terms of guiding the United Nations and its member states on what to do. Some of the key resolutions that the Security Council has adopted include the Resolution 1373, Resolution 1267, Resolution 1540, Resolution 1624, Resolution 1456, and recently in 2014, Resolution 2178 against the foreign fighters. The UN, the General Assembly, of course, through the recommendations of the Secretary General, has adopted the Global Counterterrorism Strategy, which was adopted in 2006. The Secretary General has also recently issued the action plan to prevent violent extremism. The UN, of course, since 1972, which has been involved in dealing with the issue of terrorism, adopted several resolutions, the so-called measures to suppress terrorism. Now, the participation of ECOWAS countries in these international treaties has been positive, but not every country in the region has taken the same measures, which makes the region to be incoherent. It makes the region to lack a common framework because of countries taking different measures. I just wanted to give you a quick list of countries that have ratified these treaties and what number they have ratified. We have an average of 12 ratification in the region, which is quite positive, which is way better than the rest of the continent and other regions. I think Europe is the only one ahead of West Africa. The key challenge, of course, remains implementation. So while countries have ratified these international treaties, they have not taken the second step, which is to implement them. And therefore, few countries, or not all countries in the region, have the key mechanisms or the key tools that the international community has underscored as necessities for the fight against terrorism, particularly at the local level, because countries or states are supposed to domesticate these international treaties. These international treaties are not self-executing. They are not treaties that if you adopt, and just by that act of adopting, they will change anything on the ground. So they have to be implemented, and that has not been done. The international community has stressed the need for countries to adopt national legislations, which is to transpose or to domesticate this international instrument. In Africa, in West Africa, we have Mali, we have Niger, we have Nigeria, we have Ghana, we have Liberia, we have Sierra Leone, Gambia, we also have Senegal, which have adopted specific comprehensive legislation against terrorism. That a number of other countries in the sub-region are still to do so. Then we also look at the mechanism that West African countries have adopted, not only to domesticate or to implement these treaties, but also to have the necessary mechanisms for the fight against terrorism that the international community has recommended. One, of course, being the legislation, the other being the mechanism for the suppression of terrorist financing, mechanism for or what we refer to as the counter-terrorism strategy at the national level. We also have counter-terrorism units, which are the institutional mechanisms at the national level necessary to enforce international obligations. Very few countries in the region have taken these measures in whole. In terms of the African Union instrument, the AU has also been very active in adopting international or continental instrument to fight terrorism. In 1999, the OAU then adopted the Organization of African Unity Convention for the Prevention and Combating of Terrorism. They also adopted in 2002, in the period of the African Union, the Plan of Action for the Prevention and Combating of Terrorism. And of course, recently, in 2011, the AU adopted the model law, which was to help countries to transpose international obligations into domestic law. Very few countries on the continent, and particularly in this region, have taken that step of transposing the model law into domestic obligations. So a lot of work still remains to be done in that area. The AU instrument, we have 6 of them, and the average participation or average ratification in West Africa is 3, which is also a good average, still better than a number of regions in Africa, but still far behind in terms of making any impressive or any impact in the fight against terrorism in Africa. especially the protocol to the OAU Convention on the Prevention and Combating of Terrorism, which was adopted in 2004. Many countries in this region are still lacking in the ratification of that instrument. Quickly, let me also look at the obligations of states emanating from this African Union instrument. We have, of course, the need for states to prevent terrorist bases in Africa. This instrument also requires countries to develop and strengthen methods for monitoring and detecting terrorist activities. They also require countries to cooperate in every field, including intelligence and investigation and other operational areas in the fight against terrorism. Quickly, with Ecowas, the Ecowas has not adopted any specific hard law instrument. By hard law, I mean a convention or a protocol which is binding upon member states. But ECOWAS, since 1977, has adopted a series of peace and security instruments which some of the provisions could be applicable to the fight against terrorism, and therefore we recommend ECOWAS countries to ratify all of these instruments. We briefly also look at the rate of ratification of ECOWAS instrument. It was not 100%. We still have quite a good number of countries which have not shown up in ratifying many of these instruments. Let me therefore quickly look at what role that Parliament will play. Indeed, we think that the ECOWAS Parliament will play an important role in terms of promoting the ratification of this instrument, and we strongly recommend Parliament to adopt some sort of a matrix which could help you to monitor states' compliance with this international and continental instruments. The matrix could also help Parliament also to play its own role, to look at what it can do, because we believe that legislators, they have this broad role of providing oversight and, of course, their principal role of legislation. So we believe Parliament will play an important role in encouraging countries to adopt the necessary legislation and to put in place the necessary institutional mechanisms to fight terrorism. I think with time, I will stop here, but of course, if we have time for discussion, I will go into details in many of these aspects. Thank you very much.